The gentleman from Prince William, Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for an introduction and then a point of personal privilege.
Gentleman may proceed.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, throughout this session we have been honored to have on various occasions in this chamber, up in the gallery, members of the Virginia veterans community, men and women who wore the cloth of our country, men and women who have served our nation and now serve our communities. And they are here today to observe our processes here on the floor. They've been over in the other body. They are now with us here today, and I would ask that you please give a warm house welcome to the men and women who are Virginia veterans.
We're honored to have the veterans with us today. We thank you so much, so sincerely, for your service to our country and our Commonwealth. The gentleman from Rockridge, Mr. Klein.
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting.
Point of personal privilege, please.
You know, I'm only going to allow one from now on. I keep forgetting about the second. Gentleman has the floor.
Speaker, you're not accustomed to hearing me rise for a point of personal privilege. This is my third session of the Virginia General Assembly. I have risen to do introductions, to make announcements, to update folks on the status of the General Assembly Military and Veterans Caucus. But this morning, I would like to rise on a point of personal privilege because there is a serious issue before us, and that is the issue of the budget for the Commonwealth of Virginia. You know, everyone in this chamber over the course of time develops core competencies and operates in various niches and specialties. I have done so with several. The one that I'm probably best known for as an Air Force retiree is the military and veterans community of our Commonwealth. And we have others in the chamber who likewise have served. Between myself, the gentleman from Prince William, Delegate Lingenfelter, the gentleman from Virginia Beach, Delegate Stiley, the gentleman from Stafford, Delegate Dudenheffer, combined, we have over 110 years of military service. And if you combine both sides of the aisle in this chamber who have served not a full career, but at least a tour or two in the uniform of our country, I dare say we would have a couple of centuries of service to America. And so, in the face of that, in the face of a literal avalanche of mail that I have received from the veterans community over the last 2 weeks, all concerning the inability or the unwillingness of the Senate, the members of the other body, to pass a budget. I would like to speak to that because every one of the veterans in this Commonwealth are concerned about this issue. You know, previous speakers on this floor in recent days have spoken about the impact to various communities, family, children, law enforcement, fire and rescue, business, and a whole host of other communities within the Commonwealth, the adverse impacts that will come with a failure to pass an adequate budget. And I'd like to address that from a perspective that has not yet been addressed, and that is from the Virginia veterans community. As chair of the Veterans Caucus, as a member of the Board of Veterans Services, I find myself crisscrossing the state quite frequently over the last 2 years to speak to various veteran groups all across the Commonwealth. And we have a whole huge number of these veterans groups. One of the threads that binds them one to another in the last 2 weeks has been concern about this Virginia budget of ours that cannot seem to get out of the other body. We have nearly 830,000 veterans in the Commonwealth, and the number I've seen for those who actively wear the uniform as active Guard and Reserve members or as families of these active Guard and Reserve members totals some 200,000. So those who have a military and veteran affiliation number over 1 million within this Commonwealth. And a common thread, a common theme, a common message that I am receiving from them is concern about the inability of the other body to move a budget. I have even received email from former Pentagon colleagues now serving in Afghanistan who have expressed the same concerns to me. And that is why I stand here today. The lack of a timely budget for the Commonwealth of Virginia is a concern to our veterans. They depend on state funding for various things, veterans care centers. They depend on benefit field offices, the Virginia War Memorial, veterans cemeteries, and many other areas of veteran life within the Commonwealth. And if we do not have a timely funding mechanism to take care of those who have borne the burden of battle, then we have fallen down on the job. They most definitely deserve better, those men and women you see in the gallery and a million others out there who populate Virginia. This is definitely our responsibility, and we cannot ignore our duty to these Americans who have worn the cloth of the country. And so I would urge our colleagues in the other chamber to put their politics aside, to come together and focus on the core services of our Commonwealth, and to pass a budget now. Not to replicate what has happened with our brothers and sisters in the federal legislature, which is an inability to come up with a budget. The American military since the early 90s has gone through a process where the fat has been trimmed away. Then the process moved into muscle. It has gotten into bone, and now is on the very precipice of full-scale amputations with what is coming for the DoD budget. Let us not, in this General Assembly, replicate those same failures. In previous days, in 2004, the chairman of the Arlington County Board, who now serves down the hall, had this to say about budgetary difficulties here in the Commonwealth. The General Assembly must adopt a budget. Delayed action on this important matter would be a grave abdication of responsibility, an abdication never seen in the history of the Commonwealth. It was true in 2004, ladies and gentlemen of the House, Mr. Speaker, and it is true today. So to come to the punchline, colleagues, if we don't have a budget in a timely fashion for assisting Virginia veterans, here's some of the things that will happen. In addition to $150,000 each year that the House Appropriations Public Safety Subcommittee provides to support an automated veterans claims processing system, we will not be able to do those things. The budget that was introduced by Governor McDonald provided the staffing necessary to reduce the ratio of claims agents to Virginia veterans, claims agents that serve men and women who bore the injuries of combat, to find housing for homeless veterans, to operate new capacity in our veterans care centers, and those many, many things that we have an obligation to do. The failure to support those in uniform, whether they wear a military uniform, the uniform of law enforcement, or the uniform of our fire and rescue community, is an abdication of our basic responsibilities in this Commonwealth, and is why I rise today for the first time to speak to a point of personal privilege. And so, Mr. Speaker, what I would ask, having just spoken of service and sacrifice, of honor and of integrity, of keeping the true faith and allegiance to oaths, whether they are by those in uniform or those of us here in the House, we have just spoken of service and sacrifice, and I would urge that the other party at the other end of this building remember their obligation to serve the Commonwealth and protect the public safety of Virginia's communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.